So that's the first four pillars of your MDM strategy. And ironically, as a software company, the fifth pillar is really what most people would expect us to lead with, which is the technology. But the fifth pillar really is the technology. In an ideal world, organizations would spend some time up front going through governance, or getting the organization in place, starting to discuss the current and future state standard processes and standards, and then go out and say, okay, we're ready for the technology. What we see a lot of times, organizations will say, we know we want to go to MDM. Something we can definitely do right now is go buy some software.
Yeah.
Okay, we have software, now what? And then oftentimes they'll jump in without going through some of those other prerequisite pillars first. So, at the end of the day, technology is obviously part of the solution. We can't solve these problems efficiently with pen and paper or emailing spreadsheets and documents around. And technology obviously is, okay, how can we use software to satisfy all the requirements that we've captured as far as processes and standards go?
That's right. I mean, that's the key, and that's the reason why we talked about it so late. Is that you see so many of these things where they'll have a laundry list of features that they require out of their application, but they have no idea what their standards are. They have no idea what their process is right now, and then yet they're ready with a list of features like, well, it has to do this, and I'll be like, oh, really, it has to do that? Okay, well, who's going to be using it that way? Well, we're not sure yet, but we heard that we really needed to do that.
Yeah, I read in a book that it needs to be able to match 5,000 records a second. It's like, well, we may or may not be able to do that, but what is the reason you need that particular technical capability, right?
Yeah, how many customers do you have? Well, 5,000. So you're going to change them every second?
Yeah, there's no way you can properly evaluate the technology if you don't know the problem you're trying to solve and your requirements for solving.
Yeah, and that's where I think our sales engineers, our consultants really help customers in understanding which features of a MDM technology apply to the kind of use case that you're really working on. You talked about process earlier and how you've got a data stewardship experience that you really want to design the solution to meet. You want to be able to automate maybe 80, 90, 95% of the data processing, but that 5% that needs manual attention, which technology features are going to be needed for that audience to get to do their job? And mapping those two together it's a relatively easy part of the actual discussion because it's the piece that we know very well. Customers typically know what they want when we get a chance to discuss it with them. But if they haven't thought through those other pillars, then we really aren't going to be able to have a meaningful decision-making process around what is that technology stack that I need.
Right, and if you don't know those things, right, it's much easier for the system to look like a burden because you're putting it on top of the workload that they already do. Whereas if you can seamlessly integrate it into the workload and the standards that they're already applying, it's really going to ease their job, right? And that's why technology comes so late in the process because technology can either help or hinder any organization.